Welcome to the debate. So, when you picture the absolute bleeding edge of artificial intelligence, you probably visualize this really sterile server room, right? Like it's cold, it's driven purely by logic, and it operates on an entirely binary foundation.
Right. Blinking lights, cooling fans, zero emotion.
Exactly. But then conversely, when you think about spiritual mediumship or soul-led coaching, you imagine something totally formless, something intuitive and deeply human.
And on the surface, blending those two worlds sounds ridiculous. It's like trying to mix oil and water. The tension just seems, well, insurmountable.
It really does. But today, we are looking at a methodology that suggests the bridge between these two extremes is actually found in, of all things, the tactical approach used to train an aggressive police dog.
Which is just, the visual of taking the absolute messiness of human intuition, the sheer unpredictability of the soul, and trying to channel it through a machine built on predictive text algorithms is jarring. It feels like this attempt to quantify the unquantifiable.
Well, we are examining the framework developed by Chantal Perrin-Jacquet, and she operates as a premier authority in a really highly specific niche of the online coaching industry. Her background is unlike anything else in this space. She is a former canine police officer, a trained medium with 5.5 years of really rigorous, down-to-earth education, and an entrepreneur with 22 years of self-employment.
It's a wild resume.
Right? And the result of that unique combination is that she scaled a 7-figure boutique business entirely solo. There is no massive support team. It is simply her energetic alignment, and her AI systems.
And the core question we have to grapple with here is whether digital automation and AI can genuinely be synthesized with intuitive, soul-led energetics to scale a business. I look at this framework and, frankly, I question if these highly pragmatic, algorithmic scaling tools inherently compromise the authentic human friction required for a true soul calling.
Well, I approach this from the stance that synthesizing energetic alignment with AI is the ultimate necessary evolution for scaling a modern coaching business. When applied with strict boundaries, AI perfectly preserves the soul's message through customized digital mirroring, which allows an entrepreneur to scale indefinitely without burning out.
And I look at the inherent unresolvable friction between automated digital logic and deep, unscalable human intuition. While I completely respect the profound results of this specific framework, I maintain that attempting to automate our energy risks commodifying the very soul path that makes this work valuable in the first place. Identity transformation requires struggle, and automating that away is a dangerous game for any expert coach.
But let's look at the reality of the modern online coaching industry. The traditional model of scaling involves hiring these massive teams, delegating every little task to human assistants, and managing a really complex web of personnel. Chantal actually transitioned away from managing a 15-person team to running a solo 7-figure operation because she recognized a necessary convergence of digital automation and what she terms energetic automation.
Right, but energetic automation.
Wait, let me just finish this thought. She doesn't use AI as a search engine or like a magic 8-ball. She uses it as a deeply trained sparring partner. She programs her AI with her specific values, her highly unique vocabulary, and her proprietary frameworks. By doing this, she proves that pragmatic scaling does not dilute intuitive alignment. It actually creates a structural container that protects it.
I hear that. And blending hard-nosed business experience with a multi-year grounded mediumship education definitely gives her a rare perspective. But the foundational premise that AI can genuinely automate or even hold space for soul-led work is, well, that's where the tension lies for me. True identity transformation, especially for entrepreneurs navigating this really volatile transition to automated models, it requires intense human friction.
Friction, sure, but
It requires what she herself identifies as shedding and facing resistance. So attempting to automate business strategy via AI, like relying on a custom SoulCalling GPT, for example, it seems to short-circuit the essential messy human struggle. You need that physical, emotional struggle to separate true intuition from conditioned fear.
I see the mechanics of that struggle quite differently.
especially in how we define intuition versus fear. This is where the framework is incredibly precise. In standard business scaling, the ubiquitous advice given to founders is trust your gut, right? When you face a hard decision, listen to your gut. But this methodology makes a critical mechanical distinction between intuition and a gut feeling.
Okay, but the prevailing wisdom in both business and psychology generally treats those two concepts as the exact same biological alarm system.
Right, they are treated as the same, but mechanically they originate from entirely different sources. Intuition is defined here as the soul's clear, divine voice. It is perceived energetically as coming from above, running straight down through the center of the body, often visualized or felt as a bright silver or gold energy. It is neutral, clear, and totally unattached to panic. The gut feeling, on the other hand, is perceived from below. It is rooted entirely in our animal biology. It holds our societal conditioning, our survival instincts, and our deeply ingrained traumas.
Basically, it acts as the smoke detector of the human body.
Exactly. But a smoke detector that is notoriously faulty when applied to modern entrepreneurship. Let's look at a really concrete, visceral scenario. Imagine an expert business coach preparing to launch a high-ticket mastermind. 2 days before the launch, their stomach is in knots, their chest is tight, and they think, oh, my intuition is telling me this offer is wrong. I need to pull it.
Which happens all the time.
All the time. Standard advice says listen to that feeling. Chantel's framework says absolutely not. That physical knot is perceived from below. It is the gut. It is biological panic about being visible, about potential rejection. It is past trauma masquerading as future guidance. When you scale a business driven by your gut, you are scaling based on fear. You are making strategic decisions based on survival panic rather than true alignment.
Okay, I understand the distinction, but consider the actual unforgiving environment of entrepreneurship. Business is, by definition, an exercise in survival. If the gut feeling is the biological alarm system meant to keep the business alive in a crisis, say when cash flow suddenly dries up or a massive market shift threatens your core offer, aren't we asking entrepreneurs to ignore the smoke detector in favor of looking at the stars?
I wouldn't call it looking at the stars.
But pragmatic business scaling requires those survival instincts. When a founder is facing a massive financial deadline, the gut is what injects the cortisol and adrenaline needed to pivot aggressively. Abandoning those conditioned instincts for a pristine soul truth feels like a massive operational risk in the 3D world.
But listening to the gut in that scenario means listening to what the framework describes as lies, illusions, and stories. Chantal's own history is the ultimate proof of concept here. She spent 30 years dealing with chronic illness. Through her mediumship training, she literally had to learn to separate physical conditioned pain from true energetic guidance just to build her resilience. If she had listened to the physical reality of her gut, she never would have built a global business.
Wow, 30 years.
And there is a specific client example that illustrates this perfectly, actually. A woman came to her convinced she was having a profound metaphysical energetic crisis that required her to burn down her entire business model. Because of the strict training at separating energetic sources, they determined the woman wasn't having a spiritual crisis at all. She had actual physical stomach pain. She went to the doctor and found a medical issue. The gut is physical. If you let it run your business strategy, you will constantly create house-made pressure. You will burn out because you are fighting against your own biology instead of following your purpose.
Fair enough. The gut can certainly misfire and interpret routine stress as a mortal threat. I'll give you that. But the pivot to how we actually manage this strategy is where the AI integration comes in and where the mechanical translation seems highly suspect to me. We have to unpack the canine training analogy.
Yes, the evil dogs. So for years, Chantal specialized in aggressive, highly difficult canines that other trainers just couldn't handle. And she realized that leading a volatile animal requires incredibly clear telepathic images, projected emotions, and goal-oriented leadership. The dog needs absolute boundary clarity. If you show hesitation, the dog takes over. So she took that exact same leadership model and applied it to interacting with artificial intelligence.
Come on, though. Training a predictive language model like you train a German Shepherd requires a massive leap in logic. How do you project telepathic emotion into an LLM?
You project the mental image of the desired outcome through rigorous,
Boundary-driven system prompting. If you just go to an AI and use it like a search engine, asking it to, write a sales page, you are handing the leash to the machine. You get bland, aggregated data, it takes over. But if you train it with clear boundaries, it becomes a sparring partner. You establish the negative constraints, detailing exactly what it is never allowed to say. You reverse engineer the goal step by step. She created specific integrations like the SoulCalling GPT, the Launch GPT, and the YouTube Growth GPT. And here is the mechanism. She feeds these GPTs her proprietary codes.
We need to define what a code is in this context, because to a software engineer, that means something very different than to a spiritual medium.
Right, totally different. In her framework, codes are the unique, uncopyable, energetic blueprints of her specific methodology. They are the deeply personal framework she has developed over 2 decades. She trains the AI on concepts like Aharization.
Aharization.
Yeah, it's her specific process of structuring content so that the reader is guided to their own internal epiphany rather than just being lectured at. She trains it on healing sales, a methodology where the sales process itself is a transformative, restorative experience for the client, totally absent of pressure or coercion. Because she enforces these strict boundaries, the AI operates as a highly effective accountability partner that literally catches her clients' self-sabotage loops. It holds the structural space for deep, energetic work.
But the claim that a binary machine can hold space for energetic work fundamentally contradicts the framework's own teachings on how spiritual connection works. The methodology states that true downloading, receiving your soul's purpose, requires the off mind. You have to shut down the logical brain, surrender, and connect purely to the source from above.
The mind must absolutely be off to receive the pure download.
But an AI is fundamentally an on-mind machine. It is built purely on logic, binary code, and aggregated historical data. It has no capability for an off-mind state because it has no soul. When you feed your past frameworks, your codes, into a GPT and ask it to spar with you are creating a highly sophisticated echo chamber. Predictive text algorithms operate by predicting the next word based on past data. They are mechanically trapped in the past. So if the framework relies heavily on pulling energy from the future, the soul's ultimate mission, how can a machine anchored in historical data channel true future-facing soul's purpose?
Because the AI isn't channeling the soul purpose. This is a crucial distinction that most coaches completely misunderstand when they try to integrate AI. If you ask the AI, hey, what is my purpose? You are outsourcing your spiritual authority to a machine. You are doing it wrong. Instead, she trained the AI to use her coaching methodology, which is based on asking open questions. The AI asks the human a specific sequence of structural questions. The human enters the off-mind state, channels the raw answer from their soul, and provides that raw, messy download to the AI. The AI then organizes that divine download into a scalable business structure, like a product launch funnel or a YouTube script, using the Aharization framework. The AI does the heavy logical lifting so the entrepreneur can remain entirely in their intuitive genius.
So basically, the AI acts as an administrative assistant for the soul's raw material. It formats the telepathy.
Exactly. It handles the structure, yes. Which brings us to the integration of energetic automation.
Right. The reprogramming of the nervous system.
Yes. Energetic automation is the internal process of reprogramming our subconscious habits and our nervous system so they serve our true path on autopilot. When an expert coach tries to scale, they usually encounter massive internal bottlenecks. By using energetic automation, replacing old, fear-based biological patterns with new patterns grounded in gratitude and love, they remove the internal friction.
Honestly, you make it sound like running a software patch on the human brain to optimize performance.
Well, it is a daily, rigorous practice of shedding. When you pair this internal energetic automation with external digital automation, a solo entrepreneur can handle an infinite number of clients. They can run scalable group programs and generate monthly recurring revenue without bleeding energy. They create a true boutique business. Let me give you a practical example of energetic automation.
Go ahead.
Chantal studied economics. She was exceptionally good at accounting, but as her business scaled, she realized managing the spreadsheets no longer matched her highest energy state. It was a lower frequency task for her, so she delegated it. She shed the task completely. That is energetic automation in practice, constantly shedding what drains your frequency to stay purely aligned with your soul calling. This ties into what she calls the papaya growth principle.
The papaya tree metaphor, right. If you observe a papaya tree, as it grows taller and produces fruit at the top of the canopy, it naturally sheds its lower leaves. The entire organism focuses its energy upward to where the fruit is forming, and the shed leaves just fall away. In a boutique business, every new digital product or coaching offer naturally nurtures the whole ecosystem. You shed the lower-level manual tasks, either delegating them or giving them to AI, so your energy stays at the canopy, creating new, high-level fruit.
Okay, the theory of the papaya tree is structurally sound, but my pushback is rooted directly in the source material itself. There is a quote referenced in the framework from Stephen Pressfield: "Resistance is proportional to the size of the calling."
Right. The bigger the mission, the bigger the resistance you will face.
Exactly. And the framework explicitly teaches that resistance is an indicator. It is the price of admission to the soul's mission. When you face massive resistance, exhaustion, sudden illness, environmental pushback from your family, the terror of visibility, it proves you are on the precipice of a major identity shift. You have to endure the fire to shed the old version of yourself. If resistance is the necessary friction that proves you are on your true path, then fully automating your energy and strategy removes the exact friction needed for growth.
But I see the mechanics of resistance differently. You are assuming the automation removes the evolutionary friction, but it actually isolates it.
But if I outsource the heavy logical lifting to a launch GPT and put my daily habits on an energetic autopilot, I am artificially smoothing out the road. The soul needs the bumpy road to build strength. By seeking a friction-free operational experience, you stall your own identity evolution. You are paying a machine to do your spiritual push-ups.
No, you are using the machine to clear the administrative clutter so you have the energy to do the real push-ups. We have to define what the resistance actually is. The resistance isn't the daily grind of formatting a newsletter or struggling to moderate a Zoom call or manually writing sales copy. The real resistance is the internal terror of stepping into your true identity. It's the fear of leaving your old life behind. It's the grief of shedding an old environment that no longer fits you.
The emotional shedding of the old paradigm.
Right. If you are burning all your daily energy manually figuring out your marketing funnel, or fighting with your gut instincts over every minor business decision because you haven't automated your nervous system, you will not have the profound energetic reserves required to face the true resistance of identity transformation. Energetic and digital automation don't remove the friction of the soul. They remove the friction of the 3D world. They take the mundane off your plate so you can fully engage with the evolution of your calling.
Automate the mundane to build stamina for the profound.
When your business is running on scalable, recurring revenue, and your AI is handling the reduction plans and video scripts perfectly aligned with your unique codes and the Aharization framework, you aren't waking up exhausted. You are operating from your center. And from that place of joy, when the real resistance hits, when your nervous system panics because you are about to step onto a global stage, you have the capacity to observe the feeling without judgment. You can look at the physical knot in your stomach, recognize it as the gut, tell the resistance, "Hey, I don't believe you, you are not my truth," and keep moving upward.
I acknowledge the elegance of that mechanism, I really do, but I still question the purity of its implementation for the average business coach trying to adopt this model today. Chantal has 22 years of self-employment. She spent decades doing this before artificial intelligence even existed in this capacity. She possesses the conscious competence to know when an AI is accurately reflecting her soul's code and when it is hallucinating. She knows how to enforce the boundary of the canine because she spent years dealing with actual physical canines.
But she trains her clients to develop that exact same discernment. That is the entire purpose of the coaching program, teaching experts to perceive their own clear senses, whether that is clairvoyance, clairaudience, or clairsentience over the body so they can lead the AI rather than follow it.
But can you really package decades of intense, chronic illness forged resilience and law enforcement boundary setting into a custom GPT framework? My concern is that while this model works spectacularly well for its creator, teaching other experts to rely on AI for their soul strategy might disconnect them from the messy physical intuition they actually need to navigate failure. When a prag launch flops and the market rejects an offer, sure, an AI can rewrite the sales copy using the healing sales code, but it can't sit with you in the darkness and help you forgive your past self. Only human connection, raw time, and unautomated reflection can do that.
Oh, she emphasizes deeply that she does not want her clients to depend on her or the AI forever. The goal is ultimate independence. The AI is a bridge. The digital automation is a bridge. It is all designed to bring the entrepreneur back to their own sovereign center. The new economy really requires a synthesis of both worlds. You cannot run a modern, scalable coaching business on pure spiritual download without structure. The lack of boundaries will cause you to burn out and fail the 3D reality. And you cannot run it purely on cold digital logic. You will lose your purpose and become a commodity. You must synthesize the server room and the meditation space.
The synthesis of the absolute binary and the infinite formless. My caution just remains that true transformation of the soul requires a level of human resistance, a physical shedding of past identities that simply cannot be programmed. Digital tools are undeniably powerful for scaling reach, but experts must remain incredibly vigilant that they don't use AI to bypass the necessary painful friction that shapes the core of their calling.
Well, the methodology we discussed today is pioneered by a deeply unique authority, someone who has successfully merged down-to-earth mediumship with the practical demands of scaling a seven-figure business. By defining clear boundaries and distinguishing true intuition from fear-based gut reactions, she has demonstrated that an entrepreneur can program their digital tools to hold space for their soul's mission, allowing for infinite scaling without the loss of authenticity.
And we definitely remain in thoughtful tension over whether the success of this model relies more on her rare, decades-long personal mastery of her own energy or on the scalable AI systems themselves. It is a profound question for any expert coach navigating the transition to automated models.
The complexity of identity work and business scaling is vast, and there's immense potential for our listeners to explore how they manage their own energy. Are you building your business from a conditioned, survival-based gut reaction or from your true, clear center? Are you outsourcing your soul's authority to a machine, or are you rigorously training that machine to protect the boundaries of your purpose? It appears the modern entrepreneur really has to master both, the mystic in the dimly lit room and the disciplinarian training the dog in the server room. Thank you for joining us on The Debate.